sorry about that. When I log in as a researcher, then I'm seeing my specific proposals, projects, and accounts, as opposed to the administrative view, which if I have that view, I have, of course, have a broader view where I can search for an entire department. So this is what we're focusing on today, the researcher portal, proposal records, project records, award recording into those projects, all the associated data with projects, setting up project deliverables, terms and conditions. All that information is created and maintained in Maestro. We are also monitoring compliance, research compliance, as well as financial conflict of interest compliance within Maestro. So that's what's occurring over on the left. Over on the right, we also have a Maestro research data warehouse. This data is coming from a combination of the data that's being created and maintained in Maestro, as well as pulling in data from grants.gov for funding opportunities, and then of course pulling in other data from the enterprise system-wide data warehouse. So this is used for historical reporting, and again, all of the real-time information as far as for you as a researcher for proposals and projects. That information is coming real-time from within Maestro. For account information, where I'm going and looking at balances or expenditures, we are pulling that real time from the Famous accounting system. So the accounting is still done in Famous or Canopy, depending on the terminology you like to use. The account transactions are entered in Famous, the budgets are loaded in Famous, but as those expenditures occur, when I'm viewing those within Maestro from the researcher portal, we are doing web service calls and we are pulling that information over real time. So whatever balance and expenditure information you're seeing in Maestro is going to be the same reflected that you would see if you were to log into Famous or Canopy. Additionally, we are pulling some information from the HR payroll system via Workday that is loaded nightly. These are things such as your title. Are you subject to FCOI? Are you PI eligible? What your administrative location is? All that type of information we're pulling over from Workday. And then I think that's it as far as the interfaces. We also have another interface that pushes proposal data into Cayuse, which is an off-the-shelf proposal submission system that is currently only being used by sponsored research services. So again, just a little bit about the interfaces there. We do have an online section. I will show you this on our website. Once you log into Maestro, there is a section where you can go, and we do offer monthly classes via Zoom on Researcher Portal, which is what we're talking about today. Also Executive Portal, if you have the need and to go in and look at that summary information. And then the bottom one is geared, again, more towards administrators that need to view across an entire department or college, or again, at the top level of Prairie View itself. So there are links. I'll show you where that page is. So a little bit about the access on the Researcher Portal that we're talking about today. If you are a researcher, and by definition of researcher, once you are named as a PI, co-PI, co-investigator, collaborator on a proposal, on a project, or as a responsible person on a financial account, you are granted access automatically, programmatically. So there's nothing you need to do to request additional access. Once you have been selected by the respective administrators and added to any of those entities, you're granted access automatically. By default, of course, you can only see those proposals, projects, and accounts that you are named on. If you are a department administrator who's sitting in and you need a broader view, then you would need additional access requested. I'll show you where that link is. We have a Maestro user administrator at Prairie View that can submit that request for you. Routes to the appropriate supervisor and security officers. But again, the key point to take away from here is that as a researcher, you are granted access automatically. Additionally, there is another role that can be granted if you want to allow your departmental administration to basically log into Maestro as themselves, but then navigate over to the researcher portal and assume your identity. So it's a nice, easy way for them to assist you by logging into Maestro, navigating to the portal, selecting your name, and I'll show you how that works. That's going to be part of what I'm demoing. And then they can view the exact screens you see when you log in. So they can't approve a proposal on your behalf. They cannot do any kind of editing or uploading, but it allows them to view the same information that you are seeing, if you wish them to do that. So that is an additional role outside of what is granted programmatically. A little bit about the dashboard features. There is a search, what we call a super search, across on the top left-hand corner. This you type in a minimum of 3 characters, and then it's going to search across accounts, proposals, projects, and disclosures. So just a nice, quick, easy feature. I will demo this to you, but I can search by sponsor. I can search for words in a title. I can search by a proposal number or a project number, and those results will return back, and then I can very easily navigate to that record itself to drill down for more additional information. You'll also see when I log into the system, we had a PI focus group that we put together a few years back. There were representatives from all of the system members, of course, including Prairie View. And so we asked them when we were redoing this interface, what type of information would be, critical or important or easy to access for you. One of the things, of course, they all agreed on was they wanted one area that was very clear. These are the action items that need your attention. So I will show you that. That's going to be located up in the top or left-hand corner of the screen. But this would include items such as a proposal to approve, a project deliverable that you need to go in and confirm that, yes, you did send that deliverable to the respective recipient, typically the sponsor. This is also where you will receive notifications when a research project starts nearing its termination date, and you need to confirm that, yes, we are going to close that out, or respond back and say, no, I'm filing for an extension on this, so don't close it at this time. But those, I'll show you that on the screen. Those are the type of items. So that is specific area. These need your attention. Also, you'll see there is a contact page on the front. We received a lot of feedback from researchers saying, well, I'm not sure who to contact when I have questions about a proposal or project. So there's a very defined area that has that information, also has our Maestro support information as well. In addition to the action needed now section, there is also a dashboard alert section. Again, I will show you this on the screen, but this basically contains 3 different categories of alerts: proposal alerts, project alerts, and then financial account alerts. Proposal alerts, there's really only one right now. When you start working with your proposal administrator, Elizabeth at Prairie View, she goes into Maestro, creates a proposal record, starts filling out information. Of course, one of the fields she is entering is when is the deadline date. So when is this proposal due to the sponsor? So this does pop up on an alert once that date becomes within 14 days or less. So again, she's the one submitting it, but we're just giving you an alert saying this proposal deadline is coming up. It has not been submitted yet. On the project alert section, there are various items in here. This will deal with things, a lot of items with research compliance. So if you have an existing protocol and that protocol is expiring, once we reach within 30 days of that expiration date, you will be notified as an alert. If you have research project records set up and you do not have an authorization for an identified compliance item, that shows as an alert. And then technical deliverables past due, open modifications. So you can read the slide there, but just a few alerts for project and then a few alerts for accounts. So show me active accounts with a negative balance, not uncommon by any means when we start reaching year end and budgets are being rolled to other accounts, things like that. But these alerts do show up. Also accounts with a positive balance in them ending in 3 months or less, so that you can look at that and decide, if the sponsor allows it, maybe that budget monies need to be transferred or I need to spend the rest of it. And then also active accounts that are frozen for activity. So again, that is a different section. Depending on the item, may or may not need your immediate attention. So a little bit different than the action needed section. I will show you this online on the screen, so I won't spend too much time on this. But one of the other requests we had, which is really neat, I want to be sure and show you, is we have what is called an account monthly statement. So similar to a bank statement, except what the researchers requested from us was they wanted to see all of their accounts, but only those accounts that had expenditures during the month they were looking at. So if I have 20 accounts and I'm primarily spending in 2 or 3 different accounts, they wanted to be able to see that so they could look for trending, kind of monitor it, but not see an entire list of accounts where 17 of them had no expenditures. And I'll show you where that works. Additionally, you can drill down. You can see the payroll transactions. You can see the detailed expenditure transactions. And again, it's very easy to expand that. You can export it. So I will show you all of that. Again, just to reiterate, if you decide as a researcher that you want your department administrators, your support personnel to be able to see this type information via Maestro, you can request that role to be granted to them. It is an additional role outside of what we grant automatically to the researcher. Also, another area I'm going to show you, there's a nice area where I can go in and click on the researcher performance. This is going to show you proposal, award, and expenditure activity for me as the researcher. Or again, if I have switched to a researcher as an assistant or a support person, I would see that as well. By default, it's going to show you the last 5 years. You can go back up to 10 years, and there's nice tables that are presented again with those 3 areas of information. And then again, you can drill down via the hyperlinks to see the detail. Also, we have an award search for collaboration purposes and efforts. As you know, this is for the public awards that are being recorded in Maestro. This is across all of A&M system. So it allows you to come in and search by award title. You can filter it by member, you can filter it by sponsor, but basically it's just returning the public information, telling you what the award title was, who it was awarded to, the email of the primary investigator, the start and end date of that award. And again, for collaborative purposes, it allows you then to reach out to that individual investigator that was involved in that award for collaborative efforts. There is also an A&M system-wide inventory screen that you can go in and search on. This came as a request from the chancellor at the time. The idea behind this is, again, I can search across all A&M system inventory that's been recorded in FAMUS, and I can search for particular items. The example we always give behind this is maybe there's a very expensive piece of equipment and you want to reach out and see if you can utilize some time of that equipment as opposed to having your research project have to buy another identical piece of equipment. That's the reason behind this screen. So I can search for specific items, it returns records, show me what the model, the item, the serial number, all of this information that's been input into FAMUS, and then will show me the property custodian officer, and then I can reach out to them and see, and inquire about that particular piece of equipment. Also, as part of the researcher portal, you will receive several notifications from Maestro anytime a proposal is being routed for approval. So the standard procedure is, again, let's say you reach out to Elizabeth, she's working with you on the proposal, you're sending budget information, you're working on the scientific text. At some point in the process, once the time commitments from both you and the people you have identified on that research, the institutional resource items have been identified, once all of that is in a finalized state, that proposal will be routed for institutional approval. So typically, this is always going to go to you as the principal investigator as the first step. And so what you do then is you log in, I'm going to show you this, you're going to confirm the research compliance items, you're going to confirm the proposed personnel that are listed, and then also she will be uploading a package that has the budget numbers, has the resource commitments, and then that is being reviewed and approved. Once you approve it, it will go to the other co-PIs and then to each of their respective department heads. There are different administrative stops along the way depending on the member, but that is going to show up in your action needed. Other items that you will need to log in and also address will be when deliverables are coming due. So when a project record is recorded in Maestro, once that award money comes in, a project record is created. Now we're in the post-award world. When I create that project record as a project administrator, I go in and part of what I'm doing in reviewing that contract or the grant is I am setting up project deliverables that are due, who is responsible, when are they due. So if you have been identified as that, which is very common, of course, for researchers, let's say you have a quarterly progress report that is due to the sponsor, part of the project setup they will do in Maestro is they will identify that, put in a due date, and then based on how they set it up, you will receive notifications, typically 30 days before, 60 days before, just depending on what the deliverable is. And then what is expected of you is you log into Maestro and you confirm that you submitted that deliverable to the sponsor. Whether you have to upload anything is really dependent on what your administration decides. Typically, there is no upload required from the researcher. You are just confirming that, yes, I did submit this via the sponsor portal. Maybe if it's a state of Texas thing, they still use hard mail a lot. So maybe I had to print out this progress report and FedEx it to them. But again, you as the researcher are confirming that, yes, I did send in this deliverable. And from an administrative point, of course, they're just monitoring to make sure that we're staying in compliance with what the sponsor is requiring. Other items, we talked about this: when a project reaches its closeout termination date, you will receive a notification where you are confirming. It doesn't mean it's going to close right at that moment, but yes, I do want to close this in accordance with the end date, and that allows your administrative personnel to then start going in and doing all the necessary things they need to do in order to be compliant when that project closes out. Also, especially this time of year, you maybe start getting emails about you need to renew your annual conflict of interest disclosure. This is required by the A&M system, that anyone who is subject to conflict of interest, which of course is pretty much all the researchers, you have to go in minimally once a year and disclose via a form, do I have any outside interest other than my normal TRS retirement type stuff? You just have to identify that. And then there are different officials with that prairie view that are monitoring that. And if a management plan is needed, they will of course contact you and work all that out. But I'm basically going in on this form and saying, yes, I have stocks. Maybe I have Apple stocks, IBM stocks. I do consulting. I have part ownership of a company. Those are all the type things that you're filling out on that disclosure form. And then again, there are also informational notifications that you might receive. Again, with compliance authorizations required, ending. These are typically sent as those items come up. We also send a reminder every Monday. If you have items in your action needed list that you have not addressed yet, you will receive a reminder every Monday as well, just basically telling you you have action needed items that need your attention. So you're receiving these real time, and then we're sending a weekly reminder every Monday. Again, if you would like someone, personnel, support people to be able, your department support personnel, in order to be able to see your portal, that is a role called researcher reviewer. There is one additional thing that you can do. You can assign a delegate to complete your technical deliverables. Now, they do have to upload if it is not you as the principal investigator completing that deliverable, but you do have the ability to specify someone to be notified same time that you are, that you have a technical deliverable due, and rather than you having to go into Maestro and say, yes, I sent this, they can do that on your behalf. By default, that's the only thing they can do on your behalf. They can't, again, approve a proposal for you, but they can complete technical deliverables. And now that we're through the slides, I'm going to actually go in and I want to show you a few things in our system live. Let me minimize this. I'm going to log into our training environment because there are a couple of things I want to show you in regards to proposals and projects, and then we'll go through some of the navigation. My browser might have timed out. Excuse me a minute. Let me try this again. So when I log in, by default, again, as a researcher, a principal investigator, co-PI, co-investigator, I log into this interface, which we're talking about today, which is our researcher portal. So across the top, you can see the various icons. I will switch over to production in just a minute where we can look at live data. This is our training environment where I've set myself up as a researcher, just to show you a couple of things I want to show you here before we navigate over to production. So across the top are icons. You'll see up here in the top left corner, we'll talk about the rest of these items in a minute when we go to production. But up here in the left corner of the screen, this is my action needed section. So one of the things I want to show you is whenever you reach out and you are going to submit a proposal, Elizabeth is going to go in and create a proposal record in Maestro. She's going to be working with you, uploading documents we talked about before. Whenever that proposal is ready to be routed for institutional approval, Elizabeth, the proposal administrator, is going to click a button and submit that proposal into route. When that proposal goes into route, you as the principal investigator, as part of your approval process, you also have to answer the research compliance items and the proposal reporting code items. So you're going to receive an email, you're going to log into Maestro, and you're going to see it up here as a proposal approval. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click this hyperlink. It's then going to open that proposal record that I'm going to view and approve. So I'm going to click that. It's going to open it up. This is the same information that the other approvers behind you are going to see. But the difference here for the principal investigator is before you can approve this, you have to complete and review the personnel, the compliance, and the reporting code sections. I wanted to show you this because we've had a few questions. We are modifying the screen that will have a link. When I click here, will navigate you to that portion of the screen, but it's not intuitive. When I open this screen, the way it works currently, just so you're aware, I have my header information up here. So my proposal number, this of course would be me as the PI. This is the A&M standard verbiage that you're agreeing to. But what I'm talking about is here, this message, it may not be intuitive to you because we've had a few questions. This is located further down the page. So we're going to modify this page to have a link that will take you to that section. But if I continue to scroll down, this is the proposal general information, again, that has been entered by your proposal administrator. If I continue to scroll down, this is where the document is uploaded for everyone, yourself included, to open and review. This is would contain your budget details, maybe the scope of work, depending on what has been assembled into what we call this routing package by your administrator. And then the sections that it's talking about that have to be completed before you can approve this. Again, if I scroll down the page, this is the personnel section. So when I'm working with my proposal administrator and I'm telling them, this is who's going to be involved, this is what their role is, it's just showing this again here for you to confirm. And then as we scroll down, this is the piece on the research compliance that you have to answer before you can approve this proposal. Again, you as the principal investigator are the only one with edit to this. The others in that approval chain, of course, will see this, but they are not answering these questions. Only you as the primary investigator are. So at the proposal stage, there's just 3 questions regarding research compliance, the 3 mandatory questions that have to be answered for federal proposals. The rest of the research compliance items that are collected institutionally, you will be asked at the project stage if this proposal gets awarded. So this was part of the streamlining. Earlier, we would ask all 27 compliance items at the proposal stage, and then that was reviewed and said, well, that's wasting a lot of your time if this proposal never gets awarded. So you do have to answer these 3. It's just a simple radio button, yes, no. If you do have yes, at this stage, we're not asking for what type of animals or who are you collaborating with. This is just a simple yes, no. But you do have to complete these before it will allow you to approve it. The approve button's at the top. It's also at the bottom of the page. The other section, which does default, is you also have editing and you need to answer these 4 reporting code questions. Again, if this proposal gets awarded, at the time the project record is created from that proposal, you will receive another confirmation that says, okay, now go in, confirm these, and answer the other 5 or 6 reporting code questions that are being collected for the NSF herd reporting. So at this stage, you can read Deepwater Horizon was the old BP oil spill. This may be coming off pretty soon is my understanding. And then we have 3 questions dealing with the underrepresented students, the STEM education program. And of course, the most recently added is, does this research, is it COVID-19 related? So I just wanted to show you that because again, if I come up here and click approve, you're going to get a message that says, no, you can't do that until you complete these 3 sections. Specifically, these 2 sections are wanting you to answer or confirm those answers along with the personnel, and that's located here. Once I do that, again, I have an approve at the top and at the bottom. If I see something either on the screen or in the routing package that has been uploaded and it needs to be corrected, of course, I could pick up the phone and contact my proposal administrator here, which will be listed, or I could come up here, put in a note and reject it. So that's on the proposal side. Similarly, I want to show you on the project then, just so you can kind of get the idea, is when the proposal is awarded, then of course it goes into your post-award office at Prairie View. They will go in and create what we call a Maestro project record. When that project record is created, we also will then send you an email from Maestro that says, okay, now you need to go in for the project and you need to reconfirm and answer the rest of those compliance items and you need to complete the rest of the reporting codes. So I just want to show you real quick. I would have another email. This would be a project. In this case, I have two. If I have one, it would just open up the record directly. But because I have more than one in the work list, it's going to navigate me to the work list. And then what I'm going to do, and again, this is just the principal investigator that has to do this. I'm going to click this hyperlink. It's going to open it up, and you'll see a little bit different interface, obviously, because now we are collecting basically yes, no, and additional data on all of the 27 research compliance items that are being collected and monitored within our institution. So if I do not have any research compliance items, I can click here and it basically sets all those to no. Otherwise, I would need to go into the appropriate section, mark it as a yes. If it requires additional data, enter that additional data. There is an expand all button over here. There's also a help button here that talks about what this category deals with. But just to show you, if I expand animal, there's only one question under the animal category. Does it involve animal vertebrates? Again, if this were created from that proposal that was submitted, it would be marked yes. But what I have to do on the project stage is I have to go in and specify now, what is the species? Do I actually have an approved protocol in place? If any of the items require additional data, you can see this box populates automatically, or I'm sorry, pops up automatically. So if it were animals, I would click yes. I click the add button here. And in this case, you know, maybe it's whatever. We'll pick on our poor friends, the rats. So here I'm identifying what species. Some of the items like human subjects, here if I answer yes, there is no additional data. There is a place I can put optional notes if I want. Also, I can optionally upload documents. But again, the point being, at the project stage, you do have to come back into Maestro, and then you do have to confirm all of these different categories. To expand it, I click on the left arrow. It's going to expand whatever might be in that. You can see under export control, there's several dealing with that. Depending if I answer yes, I may need to indicate additional data. So that's at the project stage. The last thing I want to show you here before we go over to production is similarly, once I complete this compliance section, then I also have to complete the reporting code, which will open automatically, you know, if I do the compliance first. But once I fill these out, I do need to click the complete button. That's true on the compliance piece as well. But this then, these were the reporting code that we answered at the proposal stage. You can see here, these are the other additional higher education surveys, so THECB, and then again, what we are pulling into the NSF herd reporting. There are help buttons on all of these as well that talk about what these mean. But again, as the principal investigator, once this proposal gets awarded and this record is created, in addition to then verifying and answering the rest of the research compliance items, I need to come in here and answer the reporting code. So basically, what is this engineering field? Is this research occurring in? It does say NSF here. That is just the category that was decided to be used for reporting purposes, was their set of categories. But this does apply to all research projects, not just NSF. So regardless of who my sponsor is, I need to come in here and select, this is my science and engineering field. And then again, down here, is it any of these sponsors or is it other? So I do need to complete that. And those are really the two things I wanted to show you here. Let me log out of here. I'm going to go into production real quick. I just want to show you a couple of things there. Yep. I'm gonna have to go back over here. So now what I'm going to do, I am in our production environment, so I can show you some real data. So when I first go to the researcher portal, again, this is me as a logged in user. When you log in as a researcher, of course, you're going to see your information. But again, what I can do with the proper privilege, I'm going to go here and I'm going to select a PI that gave me permission to use his data, Dr. Stelly in soil and crop. I'm just searching on his name. I'm selecting it here. Once I select him, you're going to see the screen in the background that is going to refresh, and I'm going to see exactly what Dr. Stelly sees when he logs into Maestro. So I'm just clicking OK, and now I'm seeing, you can see I have an account in deficit. I have 3 alerts here. He currently has no items that need his attention here. But this again is where he would have his proposal to approve, deliverables as they come due. But this is the page you're going to land on when you log in. So any items that need your immediate action will be up here. The alert section is in the middle, as you saw in the slides. Your contact information is over here on the left. So this will contain information for who your proposal administrator is, who your project administrator is, if a project required negotiation, who the negotiator is, if you have questions on conflict of interest, who the conflict of interest official is at Prairie View. And then this is our support email down here, maestro@tmu.edu. From here then, across the top, you can see we have icons where I can go see all of the financial accounts, all of my proposals, or all of my projects. Before I navigate into these, I want to show you a couple of the other items that were on the slide. This, of course, is our classes. There is a manual here for the researcher portal under the videos and documentation. But what I want to show you specifically down here in the researcher links, again, this is me viewing as David Stelly. You would see this, of course, if this was you as the researcher. If I click on this monthly statement, this is where I can see for the prior month. So we're currently in August. Once we roll into September, of course, August would be the most recent month, and then it goes back up to a year in time. So this is showing me, these are all the accounts that David Stelly is a researcher on that had expenditures during the month of July. So this is showing me the account number, not just research accounts, by the way, but also the administrative accounts, because again, we're pulling all this information from Famous. And then for any of these, if I click next to it, it will expand it, and then it will show me the detail behind those expenditures. If I want to go back in time, maybe I want to go back to March, I just come up here and click the March tab. And so now you can see I'm looking at expenditures that occurred in March. So in this case, there's $14,000 in total expenditures. If I want to drill down and see specific information, for instance, this account here, I can click that. It's going to expand it out. And it's going to say, okay, these were your expenditures. If I have any payroll, it's going to break it out into a separate section here. All of these you can export to Excel. You can export to PDF. I can filter what I'm exporting by clicking the block here. And then again, I can go back up to a year in time. So very useful information. It's easy to go in, click whichever month. And again, to expand it, I just come down, click the expansion, and it's going to show me that detail. So again, if there's payroll involved, this is all coming from Famous. This is showing me those actual payroll transactions that generated that charge of $1,800 in payroll. If, of course, the research account has both expenditures and payroll, you would see both sections under that account. To go back home, I just click the dashboard icon here, and I will go back to my home page. So that's monthly statement. I want to show you a couple of other things here, researcher performance. So if I click this, this will show you the last 5 years by default of your performance for awards, projects, or awards, proposals, and expenditures. So again, I'm viewing as David Stelly. When I first click on this, I'm by default seeing 5 years. I can change that to a calendar period. I can go back in time up to 10 years. But what this is showing me by year, he was involved in these many proposals. This was his portion of what he was credited for the submission amount. So if he was only the PI on the proposal, of course, he's getting full. If he was on there with multiple PIs, he is deciding at the proposal stage or the awards stage how that credit should be split for reporting purposes. So nothing to do with budget, but you as the principal investigator, as part of that review process at the proposal and the project stage, you are specifying how much credit should this person receive so that it reflects correctly in here. To drill down, I just click the hyperlink. So these 9 submissions with 1.2 million, when I click on that, it's going to show me the detail here. Again, this portion here is his portion as the researcher. So this proposal, if there were 2 of us and it was $1 million proposal and he decides, well, we're both doing equal research effort on this. So from a reporting metric, I want to split this 50-50. Then of course his would show 500 and his co-PI when he went to his performance chart would also show 500. If I click the hyperlink here, it will take me to the detailed record that contains all the information for this proposal. To go back, I just click the back button. Again, you'll notice I can export to Excel. This detach opens up a separate window, same information, but just opens up a separate window for a little bit easier browsing. So I'm going to go back, same information here. You can see same idea for awards. So these are all the awards that he was awarded during these respective years. And again, to drill down, I just click the hyperlink, and now I'm seeing what the 3 awards were, who the sponsor was, and the amount. And again, to drill down to that specific record of data, I just click the hyperlink here. So I'm going to click the dashboard, go back home. I want to show you a couple other things just real quick, and then we'll stop for any kind of questions. You'll notice again up here at the top, we have account, proposal, and project. I'm going to click on the proposal icon. We'll start there. When I click on this, I'm seeing a list of all my proposals, again, as David Stelly. So these are all the proposal records that have been created in Maestro, the number, who the primary PI is. In this case, he's the primary PI on all of these, I believe. Here's one. So you'll see he's also seeing this, C. Smith is the primary PI, but it's showing in his listing, and he of course has access to view it because he is a co-PI. Additionally here, I'm seeing the title, the organization, who's the lead on the proposal, who my sponsor is, who my proposal administrator is, and then the proposal status. Is it in development, meaning the proposal administrator is working on it? Has it been submitted to the sponsor? Has it been awarded? And then to drill down and see information on that, I click the hyperlink, and this is going to be true for all 3 of these I'm going to show you. Once I click the hyperlink, I drill down into the detail. I have icons across the top just to make the navigation easier. This is that general information page, the same one you saw when it routed for approval. If I go over here and click on documents, this is where my documents have been uploaded by the proposal administrator. So this is what was submitted to the sponsor. To view that document, I just click the hyperlink for any of these. This was the routing package, which was routed for institutional approval. Again, the main difference between these two, the budgeting, the time commitments, all that's going to be the same, but it's not unusual for the proposal administrator to be routing those commitments and resource allocations while you as the researcher are maybe still working on the final scientific text. But this up here would be what was actually submitted to the sponsor. And then down here, there's additional sections. You can see this is the budget area. So if they're using a budget spreadsheet to work up your budgeting, that's where you would find that. And then another related section, which would contain possibly correspondence between you and the administrator, whatever the administrator decided would be pertinent to upload to this proposal. Again, if you decide that and you have support personnel, they can also switch to you, just like I've done with Stelly, and they can then see the same information. So if you needed them to go in and say, well, let's go find what I submitted. I have a similar proposal. Let's find what I submitted a year ago or 2 years ago. This is an easy way for them to go do that. Additionally, for each of these items, you'll see there is a relationship icon. This is being built programmatically. So as this proposal is created, if it results in funding and there's a research project record established, that's going to show here. Also, as any financial accounts are set up, that's going to show here as well. So this allows me to easily navigate between these various components up here without having to try to write down this number, go back, search on it, or go here and search on it. So for instance, if I wanted to navigate to the research project record, I could of course click here. I would get a listing of all my project records, or with these relationship screens, I can click here, and now I'm navigating into the project module. So same type of layout, different data elements, of course, because now we're on the research project as opposed to the proposal. But again, I have a modifications and documents section. I have a budget actions here. So if I click on this, again, because now we're talking awards, these are the various billing projects. You can see right now, this has been a long-running research project. This is my current active one, has an amount of $22,800 awarded. And then down here, these are the financial accounts that contain those monies. So the research project has been set up. The deliverables up here have been identified. And then of course, the financial accounts have been created, budgets loaded. And when I go out and I'm purchasing supplies or I'm expending payroll, those are being charged, of course, to the financial accounts that are linked to that research project. So if I wanted to drill down on those again, I just click any of the hyperlinks and I would navigate over to the account information. This account, again, is pulling real time from Famous. I can also see my accounts or my projects by clicking here. This is my account list. I'm just clicking on the account icon. So here again, you're seeing both administrative as well as research related accounts. And again, I'll just show you this and then we'll stop. If I want to drill down on the account information, I click the hyperlink here. And again, now I've opened up the account. This is showing me my period expenditures for July. I can go back in time. We'll just go back to 19, hit search. And then of course, this middle column is going to change. The first two columns are always inception to date. This account actually ended the end of July. But if I go back in, excuse me, if I go back in time, this is showing me the expenditures over the life of this account. And again, to drill down, I just click the hyperlink. First drill down are the subcodes where these expenditures occurred. And then I can drill down one more, of course, and I will drill down to the actual transactions that were entered in the famous accounting system. So that's a real quick overview. If I go back to dashboard, I go back home. One last thing, this is where that search is I was talking about. This, again, you have to enter a minimum of 3 characters. So I'll just show you, David Stelly does a lot of cotton related research. So if I type in cotton up here, it's searching across title, PI, and sponsor. So this is returning back where it's showing him this account was improving East Texas cotton. If I scroll down, you can see there's a project with either cotton as the sponsor or cotton in the title, and so on and so forth for the proposals. And then to navigate it, I just select it out of the list. You'll see it's going to navigate me into the project module and open that record directly. So that's just from the search screen on the very top up here in the left-hand corner. And with that, and looking at the time, I'm going to stop at this point talking and see if anyone has any questions that I can answer.
There is one question in the chat box, if you don't mind, Tye. The question is, even for external research, does the proposal need to be submitted for approval?
Yes. Now that can vary by member, but typically yes, because what they're looking, what I've been told as far as the business office, your respective deans and department heads, they're looking for what you are committing to as a researcher, both personally and institutionally. So typically, yes, those are all routed for institutional approval.
Thank you. And Vanessa Monroe says that she has something to add to that. So Ms. Monroe, Dr. Monroe, if you would add to that. Okay, are there any other questions for Tye? We have him here. He is the Maestro Master. So if you have any questions, please, this is the time to ask.
Yes, please ask. And also while you're using it, if you have any questions, this is our help desk email, if you will. This is my direct office line. I am still working 1 or 2 days remote, depending on the work, but I do try to check my office phone. But this line here, this email is being monitored by 4 of us. So if you have any questions at all or ideas for improvement or something could make it easier to clarify, like, yes, please tell me to scroll down on the proposal so I know where to answer these compliance questions, feel free just to email that and we're here to help and support.
And Tye, you had a slide that indicated the training sessions, the dates for the training sessions.
Yes, let me show you.
Show that again, please.
Now my interface is a little bit different, but for you, it's going to be the same thing. It's under this About Maestro. So from the researcher portal, if you click here, it will take you there. I'm sorry, scheduled classes. Mine goes somewhere kind of different because of my access, but basically where you're going to go, once you click on that link, you're going to land on this page here. And so again, these are conducted via Zoom. All you have to do to register, just click here. All the registrants are automatically approved. And typically you can see the time, 1.5 hours or so. So please feel free to register here. There is no fee for the training. And again, you're auto-registered. There's no pre-approval. Anything we can do to help, that's why we're here. So please feel free to register for those classes there. And again, for you on the researcher portal, that's going to be right here in this link here.
Okay, and there's a question, what was under the videos tab?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. We are in the process of updating those. We just increased our staff, both professionally and with student workers. So it's a little lackluster now, but we are working on it. Under user documentation, and again, I'm sorry for this because my link doesn't work correctly, but from the researcher portal, if you click here, it's basically going to navigate you to, I'm going the administrative route, but it's going to navigate you to this page. So the researcher portal manual, which is currently being updated, is up here at the top.
Mhm.
There are some short videos here. We're intentionally trying to keep those to a minute or two. What we're working on and updating right now is how to approve a proposal, how to approve a project closeout. We will also have videos here about where do I navigate to answer these compliance questions on both the proposal and the project. So right now there's really only 2, but again, we are currently working on these. They're underway, and I'm hoping within the next 2 or 3 weeks, this list should be more populated. If you have any input actually on what you would find useful, please let us know. Again, we're always looking for that input. There may be something that we think is intuitive that you're like, no, I get on this thing once a month or once a week. This makes no sense. Anything like that, we're always welcome to hear and either improve the screens or create a short video on how to do that.
Thank you so much, Tye Rougas, for the training that you presented to us today. And I'd like to invite everyone to take a look at the link that is in the chat box. And if you would complete that link, just click on it and complete the brief survey that is there. We would certainly appreciate it. And it helps to make sure that we are presenting information to you that is of value to you. I'm also going to put a link in the chat box for our YouTube channel, our updated YouTube channel. So if there's a Riti session that you'd like to visit again, or if you missed one, they're all loaded right on our YouTube channel, which is PVAMU Research and Innovation. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Tye Rougas, for this valuable information, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.